All right, guys, we are straight up 1 o'clock and we are ready to do our Prospect Live event. One last check. If you can, just pop in the chat box that you can hear and see me, and we'll get going. All right. Thank you, Rick. All right. I want to welcome everybody today. We've got a great group of communities and we've got a great project. Anytime um, I get involved with the project that includes housing with such a shortage across the nation. I get excited because I think it addresses two needs. It addresses jobs and it can address job creation. So I think you all are going to be very excited about what Blair has today in his project, Steel Housing. Uh, Today, just quick agenda. We're going to meet our GSLI team. Real quick introduction of them, overview of the project. Then we'll actually dive in and meet the project. Blair and his team have put together an amazing presentation. It's about a 15-minute presentation, and we're really excited about what he has to share about the company and what their project needs are. And then we'll go into, as we always do, the Q&A. We've got some pre-filtered questions, and then we've got others that'll filter in through the meeting today. You might be asking, should you be here? I see a lot of great GSLI community contacts and people already here. We want to welcome you back, and we always enjoy getting your submissions and putting them in front of our projects. We have some trial communities, people that are looking at this project and trying to see what our GSLI network and working with projects can do for their communities. We've got observing companies, and we actually have a company that we're going to be doing a project live with soon that's tuned in today to watch how this process works. And then we got just observing communities, people that just want to sit and listen and learn what is in the minds of a company that's expanding and relocating. How can they tip it and make a difference in their submissions so that they get on their short lists. Want you all to mark your calendars. As you know, we have a master series we do. We try to put out one a month. And the next one that's coming up is about social media, and it's all about strategy. So we have some experts that'll be coming in and giving you some tips and ideas what you can do with your social media and make it more effective. That is Wednesday, July 28th, and it's at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Couple housekeeping items. Should you should already be muted. Our system automatically mutes you, but if for any reason you accidentally hit it, please go back into mute. We don't want to hear you eating potato chips. If you want to go live and you have an in-depth question, raise your hand. And if I see that it's an appropriate question and one that we can take you on live, be more than glad to do so. All the questions and answers go into the Q&A box, and they will queue in there for us to answer. Some will answer behind the scenes if they've already been answered, and some will answer live with the project. We are recording, and today we are on YouTube live also, just in case we exceed our number of visitors into the session. Who's with us today? Of course, it's myself. I am the CEO of Global Site Location Industries. Been doing this for 26 years and have enjoyed the whole process of connecting companies with communities. I've got my daughter, Ashley Kleinsword. She has been a tremendous asset to our team since she's come on board, celebrating her first year. And she is the one in the trenches. She is our project manager and talks and communicates and engages and builds the confidence of the companies to allow our network to help them in their expansions. And we have the CEO of the project. His name is Blair. So about GSLI, real quick, we are a site location consulting firm for communities and companies, both. We help on both sides. Our goal is to connect the two. We do comprise ourselves with an exclusive number of member communities from each state. That way, we know that we have good coverage in the state and we don't build a too competitive environment for the project to get the information that they're needing. Communities in the network work with unlimited projects, whether or not they're on the short list or not. They have an opportunity to present a case of why they should be considered in the project if there's a good match. And non-member communities, we do work with a lot. And if it goes outside of our communities that are in the network that can or cannot or can't provide uh, the the scope of the site that the company's looking for, we allow outside communities to really get to know us. And so we allow them to submit on one free project every 12 months to get that information and really learn about our process and see the value of it. Down below, a couple quick stats. We have over the 26 years now, 2,125 jobs created, 53,000, I mean, 2,125 projects, 53,125 jobs, 6.3 billion of investment, and 31.8 million square feet that we've secured over the 26 years. Active projects, all of our projects right now are in and housed in our project portal. Um, there's a new one. We have not released it to the rest of the population, but I will have the new address sent to everyone post webinar, but it's new.gslipprojectportal.com. That is where all of our projects are housed. That's where the status of the projects are. That's where the updates are. That's where everything resides, including your submission. And those submissions are organized so that the project can interpret them and use them in a useful way to come up with a short list. Real quick about the project. Pardon us for this slide, but it is project steel housing. And the facility requirement is 65,000 to 100,000 square feet. New jobs, they're going to be creating 322 jobs is their estimate by year 2. And they're in a they're on a condensed time frame, 1 to 6 months. They'd like to be doing their site location. I want to bring up a poll right now. So if you could bring up, I want to know, does your community have a need for sustainable housing? And I pretty much know where this is going to go. I was on several think tanks at IEDC, and that's all we talked about is the housing shortage. Come on, there's got to be one person that's got plenty of housing. Well, as I kind of predicted there, every community in here has a need for sustainable housing, and that's exciting. That's why I'm go ahead and end that poll. That's why I'm excited about today's, because I know there's a direct need for this project, and it's going to bring a lot of benefit. So this is where I like to bring Ashley. So we know what the project's about. A lot of communities ask, how do you get your projects? So Ashley, if you could share a little bit about the work and the time spent with Blair and getting familiar with this project and how we actually came across Blair's project.
Yeah, so I have actually been following this company for quite some time now. And at the time that I discovered them, I connected with Blair on LinkedIn. And more recently, I noticed that he posted an expansion project that he was working on. So, of course, I wanted to re engage with him, and he was super quick and seamless with it. We were able to schedule some calls right away, get him on the phone with Eric, make that connection. Schedule out this prospect live. So it's been super enjoyable learning more about his project. Like Eric mentioned, we always love projects that fulfill multiple needs, and he has a solution to housing needs and job creation. So we're really excited to have Blair on here with us today and look forward to learning more about his project.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about this, we also are working with another company that's building houses off grid. And we've actually helped them. Amanda, with our team, she's been very key in terms of setting up site visits, in terms of connecting the right communities with them. I think she's done over 17, worked on 17 different locations for this manufacturing facility. So we feel Blair's project is right in line and falls within the scope of what our communities can help with. So at this point, I'm going to turn the um, show over to Blair. And Blair, if you want, come on. Hey, Blair. So, first of all, thank you for putting together this presentation. Again, it's about 15 minutes. It'll give you a background of the project and what their needs are. And Blair, as I stated, I'll kind of flip through them as you need me to.
Not a problem. To begin with, Eric, Ashley, and all of those that have joined us, I want to thank you in advance for the privilege of your time. Greatly appreciate that. Quick overview of the agenda. Um, Eric, next slide, please. We're going to talk to you about cold formed steel, also known as cold rolled steel. What we do with it, it's a green product, and how it works into the housing and construction industry. First, we'll give you a little bit of company background, talk about the objectives and benefits, a brief overview of some of the management, our strong management team. We'll talk about the process, and then at the end, we'll open it up for some questions. This project started, interestingly enough, way back in 1998. The predecessor company was IMHA, which was a joint venture with Bethlehem Steel, and it was all about cold rolled steel framing at that point. And Bethlehem Steel supplied the material and did the roll forming. Along about that period of time, HUD and PATH did a couple of very deep studies about the benefits for cold rolled steel. And everything was going great until Bethlehem Steel filed bankruptcy in 2004. Needless to say, when you don't have a steel supplier and you don't have somebody cold roll your steel, things come to a screeching halt real quick. And things stayed there until we came across a white paper that was done by HUD in 2013, talking about sustainable construction in Indian country. And we started talking to the folks at HUD that were involved in that. And as one of our conversations progressed, one of the leaders at HUD asked if we would take a look at the housing situation in Puerto Rico. And this was shortly after Irma and Maria had destroyed over 1 million homes down there. And the reason is that what typically happens is HUD and FEMA will go in and give money, and new buildings will go up that are no better than the ones that were there before. Along comes another natural disaster and starts all over again. HUD already knew again about the advantages of steel framing, so that was natural for them to ask us to do that. As it turned out, it worked out well for us because the Puerto Rico Industrial Development Corporation was so excited to get us to come in there. They gave us a $4.66 million grant to build a factory there, and we're in the process of doing that. At the same time, we started looking and said, well, maybe we better focus more on the continental United States, on CONUS. And along with the pandemic, as I'm sure you know, the 2020 hurricane season was a record season, as was the 2020 wildfire season. And there's all indications that that will continue in 2021. We've already seen hurricanes, and the wildfires, as you probably know, are tearing up the West Coast right now. We are a public benefit corporation, also known as a B Corp, which means that we have a responsibility not only to our stockholders, but in our charter, we are required to prove that we do things that benefit the non-stockholder stakeholders. We're focused on economic, environmental, and technological issues. We want to strategically locate our factories in areas where we can not only serve the affordable housing needs, but also to be able to minimize or eliminate some of the natural disaster problems, again, caused by tornadoes, hurricanes, or wildfires. We have a focus to become a socially responsible mass producer of buildings. As I'm sure you know, there's a tremendous need for affordable housing in the United States. I don't have the current numbers, but back in October of last year, the number was approaching 7 million homes in the United States, and I know it hasn't gotten any better, it's gotten worse. We're able to do this because we leverage a process called BIM along with CAD/CAM, which I'm sure you've heard of. And CAD/CAM simply says that we can take a blueprint for a building, feed it into a computer, and our equipment will produce all of the steel structural components needed to do that building. Steel framing is engineered very well. It meets all the requirements for wind loading in tornadoes and hurricanes. It's the highest strength ratio of any material out there. And one of the great things about it is when lightning strikes in a wood structure, it lights the wood studs on fire, and that's what burns. When lightning hits steel, it is automatically taken to ground, and there is very little damage, if any, from the lightning strike. Eric? In addition to what I touched on, there are some ancillary benefits to us locating somewhere. There's a need for transportation companies, installation and site prep companies. In addition, we're able to do the production of what is called off-site cold rolled products, such as the steel studs that you see in Home Depot or Lowe's. We're projecting 322 new production jobs by the end of fiscal year 2, a full 933 full jobs by end of FY5, with a gross employee payroll of over $95 million at that point in time. We're looking for 65,000 square feet to begin with. We need to be able to expand to 100,000. When we get there, we'll have 65,000 of manufacturing, 15 of warehouse, and 20 of office. We need a 35-foot clear span. And as most of you, I'm sure, are aware, if it doesn't exist, we can certainly raise the roof, and we would do that just in the manufacturing area. Likewise, we have the need for 2 drive-in doors and 4 loading docks, but again, those can be added if they don't exist. I know you may have some questions about our electric requirements. We're projected at 215,000 kilowatt hours at the end of in the year of FY5. And EPA gave us the numbers on water usage. I quite frankly think they're a little bit high, but nonetheless, we're using EPA's number of 12.1 million gallons through FY5. In our group, our team, we have in excess of 150 years in the construction and development world. We have people at all levels and with all kinds of backgrounds. We've got practically everything covered. I started doing site-built steel-framed housing a number of years ago. And I mentioned a little bit ago that we were asked by HUD to go to Puerto Rico. And the individual that did that at HUD was Dana Breeze. We happened to get very, very lucky and got Dana to join us as he retired from HUD. And he was significant at HUD. Again, did a lot with FEMA and the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant programs out of HUD. So Dana is a natural for us to work in those areas where there are FEMA requirements. A little bit about what cold formed steel is. As you are driving down the highway, you're going to see the big glistening silver steel donuts on the backs of flatbeds. That's where it all starts. And in the process, that steel is taken in its cold form and modified so that it meets the requirement as given to it through the computer and as designed in the blueprint. You'll notice here on the right the process that happens. The equipment, again, does everything that you can imagine that needs to be done to a piece of flat steel. It does all the dimpling, the punching, the cutting, the printing on it. Each part is precise and labeled. It's numbered. So when it's all said and done, the assembly folks know exactly which piece goes where. There's no guesswork in it. It goes together very, very rapidly. When it's all put together, then the exterior and interior, the roofing, the siding, the flooring are put onto it. We put the what interior things need to be done, like cabinets and so on. And once that's all done, it's ready to go onto a trailer or whatever and go to the site. Here's what it looks like when it's all assembled, and it's very clean, precise. And the next one is where we're adding the exterior cladding. After that goes on, all the utilities are put into the walls, the interior is done, and again, the cabinetry goes on. Cold form steel is extremely strong, has a lot of applications all the way from skyscrapers all the way down to retail stores and much, much more. We can also do steel framing for on-site construction of industrial buildings. Needless to say, we're not going to build those inside of a factory. So we'll take the pieces to the site and they'll be constructed there. It's excellent also for multifamily construction or hotels or things of that nature. Goes up very easily, it's light. And here's a multifamily that is all steel framed and ready to have the exterior cladding going on it. We also use a process called panelization, which I'm sure you're familiar with. You've probably seen it today out in the construction world using wood. And the wood panels are built and put on the back of a flatbed, just like you saw there, trucked to the site. Unfortunately, they get to the site, they get unloaded, and they lay out in the weather and get rained on for weeks on end before they ever get tilted up and put together. And when that happens, you have water-soaked wood building your building. So, quick review of just what we're all about. Our product meets all the wind and seismic loads designed by code. We can do much greater spans, give open living spaces. As I mentioned, we qualify as being green by LEED. We talked about panelization. And again, because we can do it in panels or any other way, it's excellent for mobilization to remote locations where we can't take a totally finished building. We're cost competitive versus any other construction material. Time is one of the biggest elements that we have. We can build a complete home in about 25% of the time that it takes for any other type of construction, including wood framed manufactured housing. We can build an 1,100 square foot steel frame in 5 hours in our factory. The material is strong, lightweight. It eliminates pops and drywalls, no comebacks, no combustible material. Obviously, it's inorganic, does not emit gases. You may remember a few years back about some of the homes that had been put into use, had a lot of volatile compounds in them. And last but not least, it's termite and insect proof. Termites have a hard time chewing on steel. Here's an example of some of the clear span. It can go even greater. It gets some tremendous advantages in design. We're able to design and build things that just can't be done in any other material. Because it's lightweight, we can go up multiple stories with very limited equipment. We don't need huge cranes to take it up, again, because it is lightweight. And this I put in here because I knew I was going to forget it if I didn't. We have a huge training component that is required in wherever we go. The folks don't exist that know how to build with steel. So we have to do all of the training to show them how to do that. I might add that our VP of Engineering, Tim Waite, literally wrote the book on it. If you go to Google and Google instructions for steel framing, the Amazon bookstore will show up with Tim Waite's books and his pictures. So we've got a heavy training component. This is what it looks like if we take the pieces out and assemble them in the field. Again, not a whole lot different. Our organization, like many others, has a very strong backing from some lobbying groups, American Iron and Steel Institute, Steel Framing Industry Association, and the Cold Form Steel Engineers Institute. I mentioned the two white papers out of HUD. They're available online. You're welcome to download them. We've given you the addresses here. One is extremely technical, meant for an engineer to read. The other one is more from a practical standpoint. We'll give you the benefits, cost figures, and those things for your use. That's where I come to the point and said, okay, what can I answer for you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Blair. I really gained a lot of education in terms of not just the application, but the fallout benefits of additional cluster industries coming in to support, which also create additional jobs. And so I'm really excited about working with you guys. If we want, what we can do, let's flip back over to our Q&A. We've got some questions that have already been submitted that we can dive into. And what I want to remind you, we've got a couple questions that have flowed in. I've seen some be put down in the chat box. Go ahead and move those questions and put them up in the Q&A so that we can get them queued up in there and answered. But please always remember, put your question, provide your name and location so we know what what area we're talking to in the United States. And I'll ask the question unless it gets too technical. We'll bring you on live by raising your hand. But Blair, let's just start with the basics. What are the key motivations for this expansion? Is this a need that's been wanting to be fulfilled? It's a need that's got to be filled, all the above? What's your main motivation?
It's absolutely all of the above. We can provide solutions for affordable housing. We can save lives by providing buildings that are resistant to the natural disasters. It adds the opportunity for a significant number of jobs, ancillary businesses. The list just goes on and on and on. And again, I mentioned that we are a B corporation, and we're required again by our charter to do those things.
So if you're gonna name kind of the must-haves, we got a lot of various communities in here. Provide different assets. If you had to say, hey, these are the must-haves. Like if you don't have these minimum things, go ahead and exclude yourself off the list. But if you have them, kind of put yourself in the submission process.
We're very hopeful that you have existing facilities that can be used as they are or modified, as I pointed out before. we don't have the luxury right now of being able to do build-to-suits. Maybe at some point in time, but right now it just doesn't fit our timeline.
Okay. Is there the side question? This might come up later, but in terms of rail, in terms of the size of the product, is everything trucked to site, or do you have a need to ship it in across in rail?
We could use rail, but it isn't a requirement for us. It's a plus benefit, but we don't have to have it.
Is there any identified parameters of miles off the road, off a interstate or a highway? Uh, can you be 10 miles off? Do you need to be right on an interstate with an existing building? What's the exact need there?
It isn't how near we are to an interstate per se, Eric, in so much as it is how close are we to the need. So if we can get from our factory to where the need is within 4 to 6 hours delivery time, we're okay. Um, I, some of that is probably going to be interstate and major highways, but we're more concerned with the overall time as opposed to the proximity to the highway.
And you shared with me in our time together, Blair, which I found um, very good in application. If there was a disaster, you can actually put your machinery um, and transport it to on site and actually, I call it print, but produce these as they're needed on site to maybe help a disaster with quicker relief, correct?
We can, and that I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because that will answer a question that somebody will have at some point, which is about do we need special reinforced flooring in the building? And no, we do not. Our equipment is, even though it looks bulky and it's strong and it's powerful, it's lightweight enough that we can truck it to a location and take a generator along with us, and we can actually produce on site.
Perfect. And I think you've already answered this next question in terms of an existing building or a build to suit. But in terms of preference, are you looking to lease a building? Do you want to lease to buy the building? Or are you just looking to the options?
Uh, I think with all things taken into consideration, probably our best option at this point in time would be to lease. Although we've talked to some folks that have said, okay, if it has to be a building that is on for sale, maybe we'll purchase it and lease it to you. But ultimately, when it comes to us, I think at this point in time, we're looking at lease situations.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about employees. Guess first speak to the average salaries, but in terms of 100,000 square foot, that's really tight if someone's going, hey, there's going to be 322 employees. So I'm assuming there's going to be some shifts
Yes,
of people in and out. So could you talk about the shifts and maybe a little bit about the expected salaries of these employees?
we are targeting at this point somewhere around a starting wage of 18.75 an hour, plus all of the other benefits that go along with it. Um, I'm a big proponent of ESOP programs, so that will exist. What it'll look like when it's finally put in print, I don't know yet, but we're working on that. We know that to hit our goal, we're going to have to be at least running 2 significantly long shifts, probably closer to 48 hours.
Okay. So what about clusters? You talked about the need for a transportation company to be nearby or to take advantage of maybe a 3PL type situation. Are there any other logical industry clusters in the production of your thing that you would love to have near that might have similar type employees that may have materials that you need?
Well, our materials in the construction are just very similar to any other building construction. We're going to use the same flooring, the same roofing, the same decking, the same electrical. So all of those things come into play at some point. So the more of that we can get closer to us, the better off it is for us in the long run. The steel, I want to mention, because people have asked me multiple times about sourcing steel. We will be sourcing all domestically. Both Nucor and USS United States Steel both produce the flat, cold rolled steel that we need. And we have every intention in the world with staying domestic in our steel purchasing.
Okay, perfect. Let's say we have 4 communities that come in with really strong submissions, and you're sitting there weighing the different factors. Is there one tipping point that you'd say, you know what, that's going to make the difference between picking location A over B? And I think I know where you're going to go with this, but
Well, I think in the bottom line, if everything is equal except the economic benefits to us, it's going to be the economic benefits to us and our investors that will tip the scale.
okay. And I bet, if one area has more disasters, on an annual basis, or they have more of a need for the product, that might push you a little bit more towards their location.
Yes, it very well could. We know that the Gulf Coast, the entire Gulf Coast, is still hurting from not only last year, but a couple of years ago. As you know, you and I have talked about the fact that I'm a Kansan and you're a Texan, and we know that all the problems that are inherent in Tornado Alley. So those situations come to play as well. We want to be able to serve where those needs are.
Perfect. Last question here, and then we'll get into some of the questions that have been flowing in. How important are incentives? I know you never want to lead with incentives on a project, but can they help in either getting you through a startup phase in the first year, first 2 years? It sounds like training benefits would be huge
Yes.
to the project. How important are they? Are they critical to come up with some kind of incentives for assistance?
They are going to be critical, Eric. When we start looking at doing multiple sites simultaneously, the resources get thin very quick. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you shared with me, I think it was the example of Warren Buffett and the housing company that he's involved with, how massive it is. So how really this could start a wave of facilities for yourself, correct?
Well, yeah. For myself, meaning all of the Dreamweaver family. Nobody has done steel framed construction like this in the States, with the exception of Hawaii. Hawaii does a lot of it. It is not a new technology. It's done all over the world. Australia does a large amount of, 95% of the homes in Australia are built this way. And they're built this way primarily because of the wildfire situation that they face in Australia. So the reason that the Warren Buffetts of the world have not changed is because of the economic dynamics that they face. They would have to totally scrap their entire facilities, with the exception of the building, gut it and start all over, put in totally new assembly lines, all new equipment, and train their entire workforce, because again, they can't transition that existing workforce. So it has been cost prohibitive for them to make the switch. We don't have that challenge. We're starting with a clean sheet of paper, and we're convinced that we can grow as fast as we can find locations and the ability to put them together.
Perfect. We hope to help you with all those. Let's go into the questions from our communities. Um, First question here is from Larkin Simpson. I know Larkin very well. He's from Louisiana Central, and I've actually been able to tour some of the facilities he has down there and see some of the needs that align with what you're talking about. But he wants to know, will the will this project, or do you ever have the intention of wanting to actually include, instead of sourcing your steel, would you ever want to produce your steel?
Oh, heavens, no.
Okay.
I know
Larkin, if you have a steel
we know what
producer.
we know and we know what we don't know.
Next question. We've got Kim Little, and Kim asks, trying to pull this up. There it is. So Kim also been able to tour her community down in Coleman, Texas. She wants to know, she's got two questions. Is there any benefit for the company to be located in an opportunity zone?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I would say that's mainly because of the benefits.
Yeah. We've looked a lot at the ozones, and they're very, very interesting and preferential.
Yeah, and I know Kim's got a building down there. It actually, I toured. It's massive. It's got a huge clear span in it, and it's just sitting there. And I know it comes with an air permit. Is there anything in the process? Do you do any painting? Do you do anything that you need a permit for painting or sandblasting?
No,
Okay.
There's none of that.
You and I talked about this yesterday, about the possibilities of international. So you said could be interested in Spain. I know we have Honduras on here today. A lot of other countries that would, like Puerto Rico, how you started,
Right.
that would benefit from this. Would you want to have that much foresight and put an importance of a port? And would you use a port, or would you actually set up the facility in those other countries?
Interesting you ask that. We have looked at a couple of port locations. They are intriguing. There's some interesting incentives that go along with locating in a port city, as you're well aware. And we know that just to serve the Caribbean, for example, that would be important to us, as well as being able to serve Central and South America. Mexico is an area that is in great need of what we're doing. We've talked at the 90,000 foot level with some folks about Mexico, but that's all that we've done so far. There's an interest there, but we're trying to stay domestically as much as we can for a little bit, and at any rate.
Perfect. Any special need for the roads, when shipping the wide frames, or can they fit on a normal road with a truck, wide load?
They have to get variances, permissions to pull the product, but that's being done all the time with other things. So it's for transportation companies, they know how to do that, and it's just part of their business.
Okay, perfect. We have an anonymous attendee. Is there a CapEx and number of jobs associated with the project? And if you don't have it, we know the number of jobs that was covered.
Yeah. The answer to the question is yes, but it's proprietary at this point in time.
Okay. I've got, hold on a second, I got to clear this one. All right. I've got Dana Brunette, and Dana comes from Fort Myers, Florida, down in Lee County. What's the wind load? What wind load is CFS construction related to, or rated to? Sorry.
And you ask that, Dana, from experience, don't you? We can design up to 130 sustainable.
Perfect. All right. Our last
And
questions.
actually, we can design beyond that, but the cost, it becomes cost prohibitive to go much beyond 130. 130 is easy.
Our last question's coming from Brenda Daniels, very well-known community of ours. She's up in Electric Cities up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Brenda, I'm coming your way tonight. I'm going to watch my son pitch baseball up at Morehead City. And so excited about coming out that way. But I do know there's some weather issues on the East Coast. Also, would you consider the East Coast now, or would that be a progression if the right facility or location came around?
There, again, let me throw in there our distance or delivery time element. There are areas on the East Coast that we can certainly use that would serve the heavy needs again in the Gulf Coast within the time frame that we've talked about. So we can go up. North Carolina would be the extent. I don't think we could do anything on the coast in Virginia. I think we're getting too far away from things at that point. But from the North Carolina, Virginia border down, we should be okay.
All right, perfect. I don't have any other questions, and the guests don't have any, or communities don't have any other questions right now. So if you do, go ahead and pop them in. I'm going to go ahead and go to the submission. So we are accepting submissions for Blair. What we do here is we throw up a poll. If you are interested in submitting, go ahead and click yes, because that gives us a direct line of contact from our community assessment team to get in contact with you and work with you through the submission. And I love to see the no's. There is no need. We work with so many projects per year to stretch yourself outside of this. If it's not a good fit, we don't want you to put yourself out there. It's better to focus on projects that the projects will be successful. And we've got a tremendous amount of, we've got over 75% right now of people that are going to be submitting. So thank you. There's going to be a deadline. It's August 13th at 5 p.m. And you will go to the portal after this Project Live event. You'll all get an email directing you to the portal where you can go in. If you don't have an account, it's a free account. You log in, create your account, look for the project's called Steel Housing, and you will unlock it and you will put your submission in. It's an easy form. If you've submitted several, some of the sections are already pre-filled out for you. If not, then there's just some basic information that we want to put in there into the spreadsheets. Once we receive the submissions and once we contact you from your interest on this poll, a member of our GSLI team, they're kind of our community assessment directors, and they want to make sure that your submission's in the right format, has the right information, and will provide good value to Blair and his team. And then we'll get the submission over. Project Steel Housing will sit there and go through these submissions. We'll work through those with them, and then we will begin to reach out to the communities of interest. And we're doing that right now with our last project, Project Quick Charge. We're right now we've narrowed it down to 7 communities, and we're going to be starting some site visits next week. So same process will go through here. Recording links and submissions will be in that email. If you have any questions, please forward them to brooke.edwards@gslisolutions.com. And make sure if you don't get an email from us after this, it's probably in your spam box. So go in, and if you could, go ahead and whitelist that so that no future emails from us and communications from the project are put into your spam box. We can go ahead and close that poll. Here are a list of contacts. Ashley Kleinswords, again, she is the one in the trenches. If you have any specific questions or thoughts about the project, you can reach out to her. Amanda and Carol are two of our amazing community assessment directors that receive these submissions. They work with the communities one-on-one, and they get on the phone and help make sure that your submission is correct. And we'll get that back to Ashley and Brooke to get back to Blair. You can screenshot this, and if you need their contact information, it's there. They are also on LinkedIn. That's one great way to get in contact with us. I want to thank everybody. We had a tremendous showing of communities here. I love it. I love the support that Blair's company can provide the communities once he locates his project. But I know these are typically 45 minutes to an hour long. So it's you guys have busy days running your communities, and we want to thank you for what you do for the communities. And Blair, I want to thank you for providing this opportunity for us to help you be successful in your site location.
Listen, Eric, again, thank you to you and Ashley, and again, all of the folks that participated. We're honored, and thank you.
Awesome. With that said, guys, I'm going to sign off here, and want to welcome you back. To look out for your emails for our next Prospect Live event. But until then, bye-bye, and we'll see you soon.